This is World 4 on our Legacy Tour. This world I call Compound. This is one of my favorite worlds for a very simple reason, and that is I tried to avoid building any sort of closed shelters here. You may have noticed I started out in the air, and that is because the aerial view of this place is awesome. You have your two flaming walls connecting two ravines and a lighted up section in between. My first house is right over here. Just let me change into survival mode. And as you might notice, it doesn't have a roof on it, which is a nice touch. Mobs don't wander in, but yet it doesn't have a roof. Here's a few maps I made of my compound. Here's some hanging on the walls. Doesn't look as impressive on the walls. And put a little ladder up to my roof, and as you can see, there is a lip around the entire roof to keep spiders from walking up and getting into my house. I have a lot of dogs. They're very useful for getting rid of any stray beasts that wander in. And this is my garden. It's not a very big garden, but I didn't really need a very big garden. And since water freezes in cold biomes, if there's not a block over it, I decided to make it a greenhouse and just cover the whole thing in glass. A bit of pumpkin and melon, and then some sugar cane and a bit of wheat. Not many carrots or potatoes, but some of each. I'm pretty sure. Let me check that back plant. Nope, looks like just carrots. Then these water streams are auto-collecting as well. All my animals around here are free range inside the compound, as you see, which is why I had to put this fence up, because my stupid cows and my horse and my snow golems and everything else kept jumping off into these two ravines. I have a horse with his saddle, which was very useful for exploring, and because of that, in this wall, I put a gate that was large enough to allow a horse and rider through. It's a very simple piston gate that doesn't take much complex redstoning. In fact, it doesn't take any complex redstoning, just some simple stuff. It also uses non-sticky pistons, so it's much cheaper. All you have to do is throw this lever and walk through and throw the lever again. Then you're on the outside, locked out here with all the monsters, and hang on, a flaming lava wall behind you. And to get back in, you just have to punch whatever cow is trying to get out off your lever and throw that lever through the piston. Here is a gigantic tree wall I made by just planting saplings right next to each other, and they still grow. These things are a little bit tricky to harvest, but they're very fun to grow, and I think they're the most efficient way to get wood, other than a bone meal powered wither farm of some sort. As I mentioned earlier, all the animals are open range except for the chickens, who all sit here on these hoppers, laying their eggs, and they flow into a hopper chain that goes over into my storage room. Then I have an automatic melon farm, which Works in theory, but in practice, the chances of a melon growing on the square aren't very good, because melons are supposed to be able to grow on all 4 squares around them, and I've isolated it to only be able to grow on 1 square, so that's not as easy to grow. But when it does grow, that piston under here pushes up the grass it grew on, which breaks the melon block, and drops it into these hoppers, which link into the same hopper chain that the chickens had. Which feeds over here into my chest room. Here I have a mine with glass ceiling, of course, and ladders. A new thing on this mine is those 2 ladders on that side, and that makes it so I can just walk in here and right across my mine. Here's a labeled chest room that's still under construction. And here is probably my nicest furnace room. It's kind of cozy being in a 3x3 room with furnaces. Then I added in a little feature back here, which is my teleport bay. It really doesn't have a purpose, because all it does is it teleports me from 1,000, 2,000 or so to 1, 1. Which just causes a lot of loading time. And since I don't have any other destinations to link with this portal, there isn't really much point. Apparently the ground hasn't loaded yet. Just give it a moment. I'm going to refresh. Oh, there we go. And here we are. The way out is to just walk onto that redstone behind that sign. And usually the automatic portal system takes you up and throws you like that, all the way back out a long way. Then, the mine. Well, no, I have a slag chest here, and you may remember from World 3 my slag sorting system. I also built one of those down here. The same exact one, actually, but in a different world. Up 1 floor, I have a melon sorting machine that also sorts out chicken eggs and dumps miscellaneous stuff into this chest. As you see from me looking at this melon chest, it isn't terribly efficient, producing a little bit more than 9 over the entire time I had it running. Then down at the bottom of this mine are 3 new things, I suppose you could say. The very bottom floor, down at 5, is what I call, actually it's up at 6, one above the low or highest bedrock, is what I call hot holding. And I'll just, when I'm mining and I find a lava, instead of turning it into an obsidian and mining it, which is tedious, I use one of these 12 buckets to pick it up. Then I come down here and deposit it in one of these pools. These pools are 12 by 12, and I have 2.5 pools, so that's a lot of lava. Then up on the next level is my new branch mining concept that I came up with, where my mines are perfectly square. This one contains 2 wide tunnels and 2 wide pillars. I haven't done 2 wide columns since, except in one special case, and in that case I transitioned out of using 1 or 2 wide spaces. Basically, it just gives you, it lets you see every piece of block. Somewhere around here is where I got all that that lava from. I found a cavern, I think it was, with a lava floor over here. And I ended up scooping out the lava, mostly. It's not a completely finished mine down here by any means, but then what mine ever is. And there is a great big gap in the pattern around here, right over here. And that is because that is where the third feature comes through. At that level, I have my first fully functioning darkness-based mob spawner with a little observatory platform up here to see the 4-platform spawner with 4 wide tunnels and a little lip in there to prevent spiders from going back up the system. It actually works really well, well, not really well, but fairly well, and spiders don't jam it up. I could make it more efficient by putting trapdoors on the walls, but I didn't know that at the time. Then those lead down to the bottom of the mine again, where all of the mobs are sorted between spiders and not spiders, and all your witches, creepers, skeletons, and zombies are dumped into this room with a water floor, so that if the creepers blow up, it doesn't hurt anything. And the spiders are dumped into a room where they can't crawl back out of because of a lip on the ceiling. And you can just go in there and slaughter. Not the best killing system, but it worked. Mostly, unless it got me killed. Then, after a while, I got tired of running up and down this ladder to get out, so I put in a command block teleporter that takes me up to the surface, and from the surface, it can take me back down into my mine. There is a half slab above me, because I couldn't quite get the teleporter right and kept spawning in the ceiling and taking damage. That is almost all for this world, except the most important thing, the secret passage, which is actually located right there. And to get to it, you just put a redstone in the middle of that hallway, and the door opens. Then you can reach that lever, flip it, and pick up your redstone, crawl down this ladder, and flip the lever again to close your secret entrance. I really like how that entrance turned out. The only thing I regret is that you have to place and remove a block for it to work. But, you can't have everything. Then down here I have a fairly large potion storage. It's doing fairly well. I haven't brewed everything. My nether portal to my very dull, uninteresting nether. And my first modern brewing station, where I have a ring of nether wart, around a ring of lava, or that'd be bad, around a ring of water, with a little 3x6 island in the middle. No, it's 3x5, with 6 brewing stands on it and 5 chests. 1 brewing stand for primary, secondary, and tertiary of extended, and the opposite of extended, where it's more potent. Then I have my full book room here with enchanter, and I have my secret exit, which this time consists of a light lock leading into the bottom of a ravine with an anti-spider lip on it, set well back so no one could tell it's in there. This ravine is actually a fairly special ravine. No, this is the not so special ravine. I'm going to go show you the special ravine. I didn't really put an exit out of this ravine yet, so I might replay this world in a bit, or not. I haven't got around to putting lava on the backside of this wall, just because all that lava was bucketed from the nether, and I really couldn't afford it. It's this ravine that's the special ravine. Basically, this one is a ravine that is crossed by another ravine, which is actually a cool feature. I never got around to mining either of these because I hate mining ravines, but if I had, I would have got to here, and that's a lot of resources. These really look like they're worth the time mining. But at the same time, look at that floor. This place is dangerous. And that's all for World 4 on the Legacy Tour. Wait, one more thing. All of the Legacy worlds were built mainly using survival. Occasionally I would augment using creative, but not often. And that's it for World 4 on the Legacy. This is World 5 and the last world in our Legacy collection. The first thing you'll probably notice about this house is it's made of wood, which is a marked contrast with the rest of my houses, which are usually made of stone or dirt. And the reason for this contrast is this is my first above ground house in a long time, and it was actually grown out of the same technique I used to make my sapling, or my tree walls, of planting a sapling next to each other, and it grew into my house. I didn't want to dig into the ground on this one. I wanted to grow it. Back here I have chickens, not many chickens yet. I got tired of this world a little bit faster than some. Here's a small unlabeled chest room, and what I like to call my observatory. A clear spot of leaves where you can just go to and above the tree line. Then I have a mine here, which has a glassed roof, as traditional to my mines. And it used to have a water bottom. Apparently it doesn't anymore. That could have been bad. I didn't get around to doing much actual mining. I found this abandoned mine shaft, and that kept me well supplied for the time I played this world. It's actually a boring mine, really. I don't really have a consistent food source other than cooked potatoes in this world. I don't think I do, at least. No, just potatoes. Oh, I'm in creative mode. Right? Okay, perfect. Then outside here, I have my horse, a tree, a donkey, my first attempt at a sugarcane farm, or no, cactus farm. It's a little hard to get in and harvest. Then an innovation I came up with, a sugarcane patch, where I think it uses the minimum amount of water per sugarcane, and you can just wash down it to pick up any sugarcane that fall down the waters. The other cool thing about this place is this garden. Was the biggest garden I had made in a world, and it's not quite the most efficient you can do with water strips, but it's still big. And I did a couple of these gardens until I realized just how annoying they are, and I don't do these anymore. The reason I stopped playing this house is because I decided I didn't want to dig this house out of the ground. I did not want to do that. That was the one thing I didn't want to do. But yet, down here, I dug a room for repairing and enchanting and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't want that. It's just, yeah. So this was the end of this house, and it's the last house on this legacy tour. There are there are two other houses I would like to show you that could fall into the legacy world, but the problem is I had a hard drive crash on my computer, and I lost those two worlds. Basically, one of them was where I found an island, and I set up a nice little house on that island where I didn't worry about what material I used to build what with, and I build a room and put a door in each wall, and go out that door and build a room and put a door in each wall, and it turned out to be this really cool house. And then I lost it on my hard drive. My computer crashed. And the other world was a big tower that led up to a kind of top of the tower.